Welcome back to Faith and Conviction, and I'm your host, Ray Harris. And I really have been motivated to come back to this swimming pool. And I've been motivated to come back for a lot of reasons. And some of it comes about because of what I'm reading in the scriptures, but also some of it comes about because of what I'm seeing people talk about the church, how they feel about the church, how they feel about Christians, and how they feel about Jesus and things of that nature. And I'm really beginning to think that we're really trying to identify what is the church in a mass way that we haven't done in probably many decades, if not a few centuries. And if you've been watching with me, one of the things that I talked about was the parable of the madman. And I think that that is a lament of the condition of the church. And I think one of the things that helped bring that to mind for me was Jeremiah. And we go back to the Old Testament and we look at these motifs. And one of the ideas here at Faith and Conviction is that we look at the old context. And we just want to hint at it today. But when we look at Jeremiah, here in chapter 2, and we look at verse 13, there's a tremendous amount that's going on where Jeremiah has received a word from the Lord, Yahweh, the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But here in this verse it says, "My people have done two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, to hew out for themselves cisterns, cracked cisterns, which do not hold water." So the first thing that they've done is that they have forsaken God. And it says that God here in this verse, Jeremiah is prophesying and giving them this by inspiration. He says that Jehovah is the fountain of living waters. And what they did is they provided for themselves. They wanted to be gods, I guess, in a way to themselves, sovereigns, able to provide for their own sustenance, their own livelihood, their own spirituality. And it says they hewed out for themselves cisterns. This is a type of cistern because over there in the ancient East, what they would do is they would dig a hole and the rainwater would collect into it. But before they would collect the rainwater, they would put plaster along the wall in order to keep the water in there. But over time, what happens? It cracks, its ability to store the water leaves. And one of the things that God said that he would do is give both the early rains and the latter rains and provide for the people. But they're not trusting him to do this. They're trusting in their own power to build a way to provide for themselves. And sometimes the church does this, whether it's programs, whether it's Bible studies, whether it's home visits, whether it's, you name it. What have you experienced? Yet you go in there and you're worshiping and you're getting to the church and you're feeling these things, but yet you feel that something's missing. And what's missing is the same thing that Jeremiah said in that day, that my people have forsaken me, and the fountain of living waters, to hew out for themselves cisterns, broken cisterns. Brothers, sisters, friends, a pool can symbolize many things, but this today symbolizes a broken cistern. This is not where we want to be. Not only is it devoid of the life-giving water, it's devoid of God. We want to be able to see his beauty, his goodness, to feel it, to be wrapped in the Holy Spirit, to be able to endure not just this life, not to endure it, but to have prosperity in this life, goodness in this life. Zeal, knowing that God will provide. So for us today, let us consider what Jeremiah has said here. And let us not hew out for ourselves things by our own hands. Let us look for what God has built. Let us look for what God has provided. And let us look for his true blessings, because he is the fountain of living waters, which is very similar to what Jesus said over in John 4, talking to the lady at the well, that you will have living rivers of living water coming up from within you. And may Jehovah give that to you. And may you have greater faith and greater conviction.